go up 9 AC points, which is definitely what you want to see at this stage of the game after I've been complaining so much about the AC on trolls during the start of the run here. And let's try our very best to make it through with this. Very much scared for what's to come. Especially since I've already proven multiple times in the first little bit here that I'm a little lackluster in terms of my own gameplay here. Ooh, I should have probably kept fighting. We were pretty close to the stun effect from Muskaya, but got a wee bit scared. Do I have anything undodgeable? We're just dealing with this problem with Sonya. Unfortunately, I don't think so. What about you? I assume that this was a bolt attack. No, allows its wielder to fire unavoidable blasts of lightning. It says it right there in the description. Huh. I mean, you will say Fashion Soul's not great with the GDS, but not yet, I'll say. We'll get there, we'll get there. We'll find a nice golden shield to go along with it. Unfortunately, we never get gloves or boots. Limits our options a wee bit, but blue and gold, not horrible. Red is usually a little bit more popular, but we'll hold off for the time being, but I believe that we'll find something nice in the near future here. Fashion Souls always has a way of working out. Oh my gosh, don't want to deal with that. Blue and gold is your alma mater's colors, so I guess. Right, it's at least a fairly popular combination. Though we are, wearing a couple different shades of blue, and I'm sure that we'll be all over the place in terms of what kinds of scarves and cloaks we'll end up finding over the next little while here. But hopefully, by the end of the dungeon, it'll get itself sorted. That's what I always go for. We don't need to look good the whole time going through the dungeon. Everyone has an awkward teenage phase where you're trying to, find your sense of style, figure out what it is to be you. And it only matters after that when we get to a point where we want to have settled down into a nice, comfortable level. And we have max piety. Oh, and we are able to cast Grand Finale without failure now. Who do I want to kill? Nobody here is that scary. Could go for the wizard. Let's just take out this buddy, shall we? Merge with that friend, blow them up. Love to see it. Shouldn't be fighting in the middle of all these monsters, but I'm way more confident than I have any right being. And immediately paying for it as well. Thought our resistances would do slightly better, but whoops. Sorry, Skaya. Might get ourselves killed here based on my own stupidity. Could do a fear scroll in order to just get these buddies to back off of us for a second. I guess you won't, and you might be the issue here, hey? Yeah, decent number of attacks, to say the least. But let's do it. Fear scroll to simplify the situation a bit. Then, let us go. Don't have fire. Let's go with a heal. I'm not willing to risk it too much here. Feeling a little bit stupid for putting ourselves into this position in the first place. And there we go. Still managed to get out of it without using our Blinking Scroll, which is what I was hoping for. Turns out that wizard did have a robe of the Arch Magi on them, so they were definitely slapping away with pretty powerful spells probably there. Oh me, oh my. The way that I'm choosing to look at this, of course, is that I'm getting all my stupidity out of the way early on in the run here, and so by the time we get to Zot, we'll of course have exhausted the sheer amount of stupidity that my brain is able to create, and we'll be in a good place. Right? It's gotta be. Just have to have a little bit of faith in ourselves. At the very least, we have great willpower, great resistances. We even have resistance to poison now, thanks to the GDA, so there is that to say the very least. I don't really want to leave all my rocks lying around on the floor. So let's try and finish this fight. We will use a condenser vein, Get a bunch of poison acting on these bad boys. As long as there are enemies between us and the Yaktars, they're not using their crossbows, which definitely works out in our favor. And what else? What else? This is when I'm almost hoping something scary will walk around the corner, because we're really close to being able to just body meld or emotion meld with something. I guess is more appropriate for what Uskaya's ability actually does. But I also am not going to risk anything too stupid. So let's head back to the stairs and bring some buddies up. Getting marked upon coming down to the floor is obviously always a little bit scary in its own right. And on top of that, I guess we don't actually have to finish clearing D15 right now. We could head up to our branches, take advantage of the early power that we've been granted without risking everything in a silly way. But that doesn't sound like me. Doesn't sound right. Let's instead just keep pushing ourselves until we get into a completely inescapable position and die stupidly. That sounds more at my usual routine. Come on, Cyclops. No, you're not gonna walk towards me? Okay, cool. I'll come to you then, friend. It at least gets us a little bit closer to the yak as well, and not too bad. That's that. I've now convinced myself that that's enough pushing it for now. And let's head up somewhere else, hey? I mean, Snake isn't too bad. We have resistance to poison now, and the nice thing about Snake is how slow the Naga are, so we are able to just run away if things start to look sour. In fact, let's do so. Let's at least check it out. See how she goes. It is nice to get Snake and Shoals, because it does mean that we have the potential to get a whole lot of shops moving forward. And speaking of shops, yeah, there's nothing on our buying list right now, so I'm hoping that we can find somewhere to spend all the money that we'll be gathering over the course of our journey here. And already going smoothly, at least. Oh, I should have ran away as soon as I saw the alarm trap, of course. Oh, silly me. But hey, at least we have some targets to block the sharpshooter. I'm not even willing to follow up after the paralysis there, because I would rather have these bad boys blocking the way from that sharpshooter. Let the sharpshooter close the distance a bit here. Perfect. Though, of course, the might effect makes this a wee bit scarier than I otherwise would like. Ooh, and I don't like that you took the lead there, friend. Can I delete you? 63% chance to hit with our rocks. Could, of course, Fear Scroll. Let's see how much damage you do. I guess you would have to switch over to your weapon. Oh, Mortal Projectile. We weren't doing anything by putting enemies in our path. I'm an idiot. Okie dokie. Well, never didn't have it. Let's just delete this buddy with a rock, and oh, buddy. Wow. A large rock hit but dealt no damage. Game, are you okay? Are my large rocks doing alright? There we go. Okay, that one just absolutely deleted the enemy in the way that I'd normally expect to see. Much better. And here's where our choice of coming to Snake really shines, because we just keep running. Keep our distance and throw rocks from afar. Much safer. Perfect. In fact, I have a decent amount of experience with this kind of technique, if just because on my Deep Dwarf I was in a really bad place, and this is exactly how I was playing it through all of Stake, where I had to just keep my distance and use throwing items to try and get my health eking up slowly but surely, since I had no magic points left for the heal wounds ability. So it works even better, of course, with large rocks. And another scroll of acquirement, don't mind if I do. The +10 Giant Spiked Club Orb Guardian's Doom. Vampiric and Int +5. Huh. I ain't ever seen that before. And what are the odds that we get this showing up on a run that can actually use it? Not to mention the fact that it also gives us a pretty ridiculous overall intelligence score, which means we might end up spellcasting with this troll, weirdly enough. Huh. Well, fortunately, there's not much else here that is really calling out to me, so I see no problem in at least acquiring this giant spike club. I'll have to decide if we end up using it or not, but it would be fun. Needs to go up to 22 in our maces and flails category in order to bring it down to a decent minimum attack delay, of course. Once we did, deal a ridiculous amount of damage, and by extension, heal us a ridiculous amount as well. Let's see, is there anything I can drop to start carrying this around? No longer need the Staff of Poison. So that would take us, how many levels did it say? In just under 5 experience levels. So we'd be at pretty much exactly level 21. That is wild, and smartest troll ever indeed. Just racking up those bonuses, stacking them on top of each other. What kind of spells do we have at our disposal here? Let's take a look. So we might, again, end up actually delving into this time around. I guess animate armor would probably be pretty good with gold dragon scales. Wacky. What a ridiculous start to our day today. Definitely not complaining, don't get me wrong. The brain is not equipped to make hard decisions yet. So hopefully we can just stay alive long enough in order to come to a bit of a conclusion in that regard. Ooh, dang it. The Guardian Servant was next to us, so I should have taken the opportunity to get a couple hits in. In fact, I will use our paralysis this time around to try and take out a few of these bad boys. And in fact, with the pain bond on top of that, we're able to finish the fight. Oh me, oh my. Things are going a little too smoothly. We don't have resistance to electricity. There we go. We've encountered our problem for the day. Another thing that I've completely failed to account for here. We'll have to be very cautious of those shock serpents, to say the least. But as long as they don't show up, we have our ability to just retreat on command here. Only ever have to deal with the spit from these buddies, or one at a time, ideally. Let's just keep her going. I also noticed that I set our training to 15 out of habit here, but it should only be up to 9 with shields. Fortunately, we're a nice big old troll, so we're able to reduce the amount of commitment we have to do in regards to training that. And let's do this. Like you buddies to line up in a nice orderly fashion, please. Perfect. That is exactly what we like to see. And amazing. Link everyone with emotional bonds, go slashing through with our claws. And hello, Louise. This is where we'd normally have almost no willpower and find ourselves in a horrible spot, but fortunately, this is one of the few runs where that isn't a concern. So I actually should be okay against you. We have 15 large rocks by this point in the game too, which is not bad. So let's just try and delete you from existence. You know what, I'll even stick with the rocks here. We won't bother switching over to claws. Just closing the distance. Almost seems like a waste, I say, as we just miss or deal no damage consistently. Fun stuff. There we go. Still not too bad whatsoever. Very much happy with this. And in fact, this is even better, seeing that we don't have to deal with the shock serpent as we get that stun at the perfect time. Immediately send a javelin that way. Bada boom, bada bing, ain't no thing. And there we go, also finally running into the shops that I was so hoping for. Nothing quite interesting enough to buy there yet, but the time will come, I'm sure. So please, sirs. Wanted them to walk up to me, but it turns out the game is a little bit smarter than I'm giving it credit for, making sure that enemies aren't completely stupid in their movement patterns here. Hello, Shock Serpent. 50-50 chance of hitting you with a rock, hey? What's their chance of stunning you? Or paralyzing, rather. 28%? That's not great. So I think I will take the 50-50 rock, and then 66% chance. Or no, a 56% chance to hit with our claws. So I'm tempted to keep using the rocks, but one slash of the claws does the trick. We can just keep on rolling through here. Making sure to occasionally switch between large rocks and javelins, if just to take advantage of the piercing effect. Ooh, we can't do it quite so much there, so have to use a rock, javelin, back and forth, back and forth. And perfect timing on that, Uskaya. Thank you so much, bud. It's just ridiculous how quickly we can get the paralysis effect to proc when we're launching large rocks. It just deals so much damage. And in fact, by extension of that, we almost definitely should try and get the giant spike club going here, hey? Because that's going to be in a similar boat where we just have to hit once or twice, and then we'll have everything stunned. Wouldn't mind. Also immediately gets surrounded by guardian snakes. I'm debating how to deal with this. We could just condenser vein. We could use a scroll of fear if we wanted to just get out of this situation, but we can survive at least one turn. So I think I will go for the condenser. Just try and lay on as much damage as we can in a short amount of time here. Keeping a close eye on where we're at health-wise. Also seeing where our PD is at, when we'll be getting perfect. Thank you, Skya, just in time. I was just about to mention our stun. Thanks, bud. Let's switch over to a large rock, take out that Guardian Serpent as soon as possible. Excuse me, friend. I take out that Guardian Serpent. There we go. Perfect. It's always scary when you pop around a corner and then immediately the first thing the Guardian Serpent does upon taking you into their sight is surround you with enemies, but it gets a bit worse on Snake Pit 4 when all of those enemies are going to be the warriors rather than a few of these just regular old baby Nagas. Hello, Azul. How am I feeling about facing you? You have a lot of health, but so do we. Actually, before we take on Azul, because they're going to give a decent amount of experience, I'm going to change up our training a wee bit here. Stop training armor, stop training invocations, because we're at least at the point where Grand Finale has no chance of failing, or almost no chance, essentially. And instead, I'd like to start training up some evocations. And that Mace and Flails category, it's so tempting. It's calling out to me a little bit. It seems like we've trained a ridiculous amount of unarmed combat, which we have in terms of level here, but that was with the help of 2 different manuals of unarmed training. So at the end of the day, it's not too bad of a deal to switch off and invest pretty much, actually I was going to say pretty much the same amount of experience, but it's actually far more experience into the Maces and Flails category, just to get the giant spiked club into action. Let's go for it. Jeez Louise. Our claws already deal a ridiculous amount of damage on their own, of course. And, oh wow, another unique here. Hello, Israel. How's it going? What do we wish to do with you? We can just deal a bit more damage. I guess we can Mind Meld, right? 3% chance to fail. Yeah, why the heck not? Let's just do it. Immediately blow that buddy up. Love to see it. And that's not too bad. Let's just keep her rolling here. Sharpshooters still being the bane of my existence, but At least we're not in a horrible position. In fact, let's not risk mulching any more of our large stones. Just take care of that buddy by hand here. Perfect. And another blinking scroll is a welcome sign, to say the least. Very much happy with that. As I tab my way through a shock serpent approaching, but hey, ended up just fine in the long run. I also just realized that we've been ignoring these wands of flame, but we have shoals in this game. So I might actually want to drop our noise scrolls and pick that up. It's really useful in shoals because any place with water, you are able to create fog walls at will, and that is handy in its own right. And the ring Pimu here has drain ability or drain effect on it, but there's the resistance to electricity that we're so missing right now. What would I take off for that? Could take off that bad boy. I think... Ideally, I probably should actually take off the Ring of Hoot. But I like being the smartest troll in existence. For the time being, we'll just mark that in case there's something else in one of these shops that is a slightly more feasible deal, or a better deal, I guess, overall. Nothing, 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 and dang, no blinking scrolls today. That's unfortunate. I will just buy all of these identify scrolls, though, and let's read through those in a flurry here and just see what kind of things we have at our disposal. There's our summoning scroll. That's always very helpful. And perfect. Just keep her going. Almost felt like this was Snake Pits 4 because we had a decent little vault area there, but of course that's yet to come, and I'm sure it'll be even more troublesome once we actually get down there. Scroll of Enchant Armor, let's just immediately read that on the spot. Apply that to our nice gold armor. Perfect. Just being kind of stupid and rushing into these fights when I should be using the hallway to our advantage, but I'm feeling confident in a lot of regards here. Maybe too confident. Some may argue, and they would be totally correct about it. Oh my gosh, this is definitely just the floor of uniques. Absolutely riddled with them. For Vajna here, what do I wish to do? I think we can just take you on. Extremely dangerous, of course. Oh, right, you can blink others away. That's important, too. And ridiculous evasion. Always a bit of a pain in the butt. But getting all these uniques, on the other hand, of course, does mean that we get a really nice amount of experience. And as long as we're at the very edge of Vajnia, not sure the proper way to pronounce your name, friend, but as long as we're at the edge of their vision, we can always take a single step away, and we can outrun them every time, which is nice. So I'm willing to risk a few large rocks, see if we can't get a good hit. Doesn't look like it so far. Now the question is, do I commit to this fight? Because we can use this closed door in order to force them to stand right next to us and get a few hits in. Some would say overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. You're not wrong. Definitely. Definitely is. I love the reference each and every time I hear it. Oh, whoops. Didn't commit either way and ended up looking like a fool. So here goes. Oh, dang it. Of course we get poison clouds. So I'm actually, even though we're so close to Vajna, I am just going to start running. Use the extra speed to our advantage to get the heck out of there, because unfortunately, it's one of the few clouds that isn't going to do us any good whatsoever in that fight. Let's see. I normally would wish that by the stage in the game where we're dealing with a whole lot of uniques, I would have the Phantom Mirror at my disposal, because that is my go-to way of dealing with a lot of these uniques. Unfortunately, not the case this time around, but not the end of the world. And in fact, ooh, we can wear our shield now with no penalty. That's important. There's the red that I was hoping for earlier. Now, as long as I can get a cloak and hat to match, may have something nice going on style-wise here in a moment. But let's try and split up these enemies. Dealing with Vajna and 2 sharpshooters all at the same time as they all portal projectile their arrows right into our face past each other. Not great, to say the least. With the one caveat to that, of course, being the fact that if we can ramp up piety on these squishy buddies. Come on, please. Ooh, okay. Then we are potentially able to take advantage of that. Oh, not with boomerangs, but with large rocks. 98% chance to hit, I'll take it. Still a little bit ways off. What I was hoping is that we could use those 2 sharpshooters to ramp up to max piety and then just mind meld with Vajna here. But it's still not the end of the world. So we take a look at our options. Can't go invisible because unfortunately she can see invisible. Could just haste up here and sprint in for the kill, even though of course that bears its own risks. We have 2 scrolls of blinking, and fortunately again with how slow she is, we'll only have to use 1 most likely to get away from her. I think I will speed myself up, try and close the distance. You son of a gun. There we go, try and close the distance. We did reset our piety, so we might be able to get a stun off again too. Maybe, just maybe, get a stun off again too, or just kill you. I guess that works just fine. Perfect, okay. That's 3 scary uniques all out of the way. Anything else? Snake Pits 3? I mean, you might as well just throw everything at us now. Don't see why not. Also, I'm gonna leave these Potions of Brilliance lying around for now, even though I was just mentioning earlier that we may actually get into spellcasting on this run, since I'm not worshipping Trog for once as a troll, and we do have the intelligence needed to boot. For the time being, I need all the inventory space I can possibly get. And let's just keep her going here. Maybe because of how ridiculous that entire setup was, we'll have a slightly easier Snake 4? Maybe, just maybe, game? I can at least dream, right? So we get slowed. We lose our 1 advantage that we have over these dang old snakes. There we go, though. Ain't no thing, of course. Not too shabby. And I like to think that slowly but surely my brain is warming up, not making quite as many mistakes as I was in the first hour here. But no promises, and of course immediately keep that in check by making sure that I don't get too overconfident, as we were just discussing. Which includes remembering that I don't have resistance to electricity yet. We have the option to buy that ring, but we ended up not picking it up, so let's keep that in mind. Drop those Atropa tip darts. Let's bring the Guardian Serpent out a ways so that they can't call in quite as many enemies. You can always try and limit them in that regard. But there is a tower shield in front of us here. I do like to see that, especially since it has a nice red and gold motif, which, as mentioned earlier, is exactly what we're going for. Oh my gosh, and it's a tower shield of deflection. Holy cow. Just keep upping the ante in terms of the level of cursed that I am, because there's no way we survive this, right? I guess, is the Giant Spike Club, it's probably two-handed, right? Aha. It is, sorry, not two-handed, rather. Two-clawed. Sorry, game. Of course. So we will maybe have to make that decision at some point. And in fact, makes me not want to use that and stay with our unarmed combat for the rest of the run. It seems like such a waste. It would be such a silly weapon to use. I know, any opinions in chat? Should we risk the lack of defenses? My brain is telling me no. but some part of me that both wants to see us risk everything in stupid and hilarious fashions does want to do that. Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. Indeed. That's definitely appropriate for me. I do enjoy clowning around far too much in these games. With all my weird self-inflicted rules and stipulations, just making the game harder for ourselves. It's important to have fun. The right thing to do is to put on that shield. And yeah, Drunk Sarah saying, I feel like the responsible thing is to remain unarmed, but the cool thing is to smack things with a club. And indeed it is, and I do like to be cool. I just want to be cool in front of my friends. We'll have to see. I mean, we're probably not going to be lacking too much in regards to the experience that we get throughout the course of the game here. So no real harm in at least training up our maces and flails, and we can maybe switch back and forth. Can keep the shielded reflection going when we're, heading through places like Elf or places like Zot, where we really can take huge advantage of that reflection ego. And then otherwise, maybe get a little silly. Okay, if you could just keep coming this way, please. Oh, geez Louise. Get teleported to us twice thanks to the Guardian Serpent. What are you doing? You have just a regular shield. I think we can fight for a little bit here. Perfect. Heal up. And yeah, I think we'll keep trying to do our best to play it somewhere in the middle here, where I want to keep the club around and maybe train up to be able to use it in our future. With the, again, caveat that we may not always be using it. Let's have fun and stay safe. Is that even possible? Who knows? Only time will tell. But oh my gosh, I need to take out this Guardian Serpent here. It's not going great. There we go. Perfect. And then I can just run away. Making sure that I don't just over move too many turns and get myself killed to poison. Continuing to stack. Awesome. Love to see it. Oh geez. Where did you come from, friend? You weren't supposed to be there. Still good. Still good. I'll be okay. Oh geez. Way closer than it had any right to be. But hey, made it out in one piece, so let's just keep her going here. Split this fight into a couple of different lower stakes ones as these enemies come to us one by one. All of our large rocks are just lying on the floor throughout the level. That's great. Ideally, we can pick those up right away here. Perfect, there we go. Already gathering back a large chunk of them. On the other hand, I still am just crossing my fingers that we didn't manage to mulch too many. You never know how the odds will work out in that regard. Me, oh my. Definitely been a little bit scary here. How's our skills coming along? Maces and flails will be a heck of a long time. I guess so. It was by level 21 or 22 that we would have had it at the appropriate training level for the Spike Club, but that would have been assuming that we trained it and nothing else. So I'm guessing, Jesus, that instead we'll find that we'll probably not even be up to level 22 in maces and flails by the time we're max level, but we'll see, of course. Depends on how our other training progresses until that stage. So we get surrounded by Quicksilver dragons and scary Naga. Fortunately, Uskaya has our back hardcore and ends up being way more trivial of a fight than it has any right to be. Holy cow. That should have been absolutely a run ender, or at least a time where we would have had to burn through all of our blinking scrolls, but apparently no problem whatsoever. Just worship Iskaya, forehead. And there we have it, done with our first ruin and everything. Next up is shoals, probably. We could, in fact, go back out to the dungeon if we wanted. And, oh, we haven't even looked into Orc yet? Right. Then I might do that first. Shoals is always a little bit scary. Especially since that was one of the few places where our first troll, Troby, had a couple close calls or close encounters with death. So let's head to Orc, see if there are any decent shops there. Again, hoping that we can find somewhere, anywhere, to spend the great big wads of cash that we've collected throughout our journeys here. Perfect. Get that pain link and paralysis at just ideal moments. Mwah. Keep her going here. Holy crap, there is a volcano and ice caves on this level. Huh. Well, that's definitely worth a magic mapping. And let's see where those bad boys are. These are probably shops, because this is like the end vault area. And there we go, it's there and there. Okie dokie. Well, need to start heading upwards. If we want to be able to make it through both time portals, it's going to be a little bit sketchy here. But I can lead these buddies on a bit of a merry chase, try and block off some of my sight lines with the ogre here. Perfect. And fortunately, I guess both the time portals are next to each other, so that will help us potentially make it through to both, as I would so like to do. We have the resistances at the very least this game to probably make it through both in an alright state. Absolutely crushing it. Thanks to Skya again. Huge big ups to Skya here. And let's start with fire, shall we? Just tab through most of this area. I think the last time I went through Volcano, it seemed way easier than it had any right to be because we just confused all the enemies into dropping themselves into the lava pits. Not quite as likely with this character, but still shouldn't have too much trouble, again, thanks to the solid suite of resistances that we've managed to obtain already by this stage in the game. If you all want to just line up nice and straight here. Perfect. Thank you kindly. Just a couple javelin tosses to take down the whole crew. Perfect. This is much easier than it has any right to be, once again. Ooh, what do we get? A kite shield of fire resistance? Don't mind if I do. We might as well max out that resistance category. We also just picked up another enchant armor, did we? Love to see it. Like to get the Skull Dragon scales up and running to max capacity as quickly as possible. Let's check out that ice cave, shall we? Hello, friend. Here goes. Pain in the butt. Think we'll just run right in, try and chase these friends down. This is so much easier than the last time that I went through this exact ice cave, because I remember just struggling for an eternity trying to take out these statues, and the simulacrum almost killed us like 4 different times. And instead I'm just tab fighting my way through without a care in the world. Not a moment's hesitation. Absolutely ridiculous. Amulet of Ruse Approval. Regen and strength? Why would I care about Ruse Approval? I'm very much a Nuskaya kind of troll, you know? And I think I want to keep my Amulet of Faith. I am loving how quickly we can ramp up here. So, let's just stick with what we know, shall we?